Hey, welcome to the channel. Today what we're going to be talking about is one of the most important tools that you can have, whether you're, just starting out a do-it-yourselfer, a weekend warrior, someone that's getting into the trade of small engine repair, or even the shops. The biggest and most important tool you're going to have is a compression tester. So if you want to know more about compression testers, stay tuned because we've got a few of them here to show you. Alright, so welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and with our videos we do the weekday, Monday through Friday. It's available video or podcast. The weekends I come up with other videos, but like today we're doing educational videos, and educational videos are maybe something you didn't know and you wanted to know is what I try to show. And hopefully some of you guys out there have been thinking about the same thing when it comes to compression testers. Why are they important? Well, if you ask me, it is the most important tool in your toolbox. The number one. Why is that? Because if you don't have compression, then anything you do from that point on is for naught, right? It's time you'll never get back. And when you're doing repairs, even when you're doing it yourself, time is money, right? So if it's sitting here at the shop and I didn't do a compression test on your weed eater, let's say, and I went by what you told me, it was running great, the primer bulb started sticking, so I played with that, and now I can't get it to run again. Most often people will jump to, well, maybe it's a faulty plug, faulty primer bulb, a little bit of dirt in a carburetor. So we tear the carburetor off and we tear the carburetor all apart and clean that all up, put it all back together, put a new primer bulb on it while we're there, put a new plug in, and then we give it a pull and we're still not getting maybe a putt. And that's if you're spraying carb cleaner into the intake. It will fire on carb clean because carb cleaner will fire at a better than when you're trying to pull fuel up with your primer bulb. It'll fire quicker than gas. And a lot of times I've seen it where if you touch it with some carb cleaner and give it a pull, it would get it started enough so they started drawing up the fuel. But it's a borderline compression on the engine. Now, if you're my customer and we did all that, you're looking at an hour or two labor, right? And we're still giving us the same problem. So then it's, well, let's throw a compression tester on it and see what it's reading. If that compression tester is reading less than 90, it's not going to start on its own, or it's going to start harder than heck, all right? And what I recommend is I like 90 or above for a baseline, all right? Now, on a two-stroke, I like to see up over 100. Because on a two-stroke, most times you're pulling your fuel in there. On a four-stroke, you got a little bit more give, all right? So that you got fuel pumps, you got carburetors that are pushing the fuel, and you're getting enough compression so that it's firing enough to keep the beast running. But if it's any less than 90, what do you do then? Well, if you're doing four-stroke and you get less than 90 for a compression, which you should do first, that would save a lot of your time and headaches, basically. If you did a compression test on that lawnmower and it came back at, let's say, 85, 90, it's not telling us that the engine is whipped and that it's on its last leg. It could be even reading 50 and it's not on its last leg. This gives us a starting point, all right? You're the investigator trying to figure out what is going on with my weed eater, what is going on with my lawnmower. It was working great yesterday, but now it's not working great. And we had an example of this trimmer. I serviced this trimmer this spring, and the customer used it at home and at camp, and he let somebody borrow it. There's the big key. He let somebody borrow it, and I don't know what the guy put in the fuel, but it's a wicked smell. You know, it's terrible. But I threw the compression tester on it, and the best I could get was 82, 83 out of it. So between the time it was here this spring and now, we've lost that compression. So with this, you don't have any overhead valves to adjust. So you're screwed. You only have one thing. And if this isn't reading above 100 PSI, then it's going to be a hard starting. And if it gets down below 80, you won't even be able to get it to start unless you use carb cleaner through the carburetor. That's how fast they can go. And I've seen them where people, not realizing that this is a two-stroke, put straight gas in here and smoke the rings and the piston and the jug. So we always want to start with compression. If we start with compression, then we know that that's ruled out, right? Because if we don't rule that out, then we could do all the other things and have to come all the way back and find out it was a waste of our time. So we're looking at compression gauges right now. This one here is my go-to. And this one here I got from Napa. I've had this for years and I use it almost explicitly. Now with this system, with this from Napa, it's got an up step so that it'll do two different engines. One is the smaller one, hits most of the weed eaters, and the up step hits most of the lawnmowers. So pretty much everything that I work on, this one tester works on the unit. Now, what you're looking at here is 3 different testers, but a lot of them are the same. We can start with, this is the entry level, and I can't remember what I paid for it, like $25, and this was a Harbor Freight. And it comes with your gauge to tell you how many PSI. It comes with this that you plug in, and then also it comes with the different adapters that just simply screw on to here. So if you want to test that, you can do that. Pop that apart. But that would be your basic. And that's still, this kit covers 4 different sizes. And then you have this kit. Still basically the same idea. And this is the US General. So this is one of the earlier ones from Harbor Freight. Same idea. It's got the whip, and then you have 3 different sizes that you can plug in to use. The other thing is, let me get this put away here. Is the Maddox kit that I purchased recently, and this is through Harbor Freight. It's called the Superior Automotive Tool, and it's same idea. It's got the clip-on, it's got all the different sizes, and then it goes one step farther and it supplies a lot of the O-rings that will go bad on your units. And that's one thing you want to check often is when you do have a compression tester, is that they're all O-ring seal fitting, which means like on here with this one, it's got an O-ring here for the small upstep, and then it's got another bigger O-ring for the upstep on the larger size. These over time can go bad, and you want to, because what I do is I can tell if it's going bad with this is that I'll start getting a misreading where it's low, and what I end up doing, I grab one of the three and just do a backup check to see, is it running the same as my Napa gauge? And if it is, then it is what it is. But if this is higher than what this gauge is reading, it's telling me it's leaking by my O-rings. And it's time to replace the O-rings on that unit. So hopefully you've learned something today, you know, why it's so important to do a compression test first. I know there's a lot of videos out there that tell you to go to the carburetor and it's a diaphragm, it's the fuel pump, it's, you know, and you're chasing your tail if you haven't found out what the compression is. So we always want to start with compression. If we don't have compression and it's a 4-stroke, we're going to go to the overhead valves and see if they're out of adjustment. If they're not out of adjustment, then you stop and have to take into consideration at that point in time, is it worth rebuilding it? And when I say rebuilding it, I mean a new set of rings. A lot of times, if the jug is in good shape, if the piston has any scoring on it, replace the piston. But sometimes you can get away with just the rings and some gaskets. If we have good compression, then we'll go to the next step, and that is fire. And then the next step, if we have good compression, we have good fire, are we getting air? We got to have air so that it can keep that fuel air mixture coming in through the system, right? And lastly is fuel. Is our fuel bad? We just had one that a customer brought back. We serviced it last year, and he said that it was running good early on, but they're running like crap. And I couldn't believe how much water was in both of those. And just by simply draining the fuel out of it and putting in premium gas, we eliminated that. So sometimes it's just your fuel. It's and how you store your fuel and how long you store your fuel. So on that note, if you have any questions, comments, put them in the comments. If there's other videos you'd like to learn more about different things, let me know, you know, because I can put out video after video on stuff that people have no interest in. But I'd rather spend my time doing it on something that interests you and that will help you do a better job. All right, thanks so much for watching, and you guys have a great day.